One of the great things about living in Nevada County is we are at a minor cultural musical crossroads here that often has some great talent pass through town, and of course we also have some great talent that lives in town. And one of the neat things about the talent from around here is they are a very giving group of people, and they are very willing to pass on the tradition of traditional music. And today we're here at Pioneer Park, Kayleigh in the park, with Alisdair, Fraser, and his friends passing on traditional music to a whole new class of young musicians. They've been working hard for 8 days up on North San Juan at a ranch up there, all-inclusive immersion music camp, and tonight they all get cleaned up, come to town, and put on a performance for everybody here in town. Check it out. Juan Browne with the Grass Valley Union. Look who I found, Alisdair Fraser himself. This is your party tonight, right?
It sure is, but I mean, it's Pioneer Park, you know, it's like the living room of the town for me.
So
it's the hub.
So you got all dressed up, cleaned up, came into town after what, a week of camp, right? That's what you're up to?
Since last Saturday night. Man, we have journeyed, we've partied, we've had soulful moments, we've had crazy dances, you know, the whole bit. I love it. I love it. There's so much humanity here, and I hope you can see that when you hear the music and see the joyous faces.
And the whole idea with traditional music is that it's passed on via tradition. It's not written. It's not even memorized. You said it was.
Well, it's more than memorizing. You actually find yourself knowing it.
You got to know it.
Kind of like you know a language. You know, you go for fluency, and you hang out with people that have fluency, and then you find yourself doing it. So it's like it's immersion. There's nothing like immersion. It works.
And it's for this camp is like 8 days of immersion, right?
Immersion, total immersion. Yeah. And it's kids all the way through to grandparents, you know, everything, you know, everyone. From all over the country, and even from Galicia, we get some people here in Canada and whatnot. So.
And a life-changing experience for a lot of them, right?
It is. There'll be a few tears tonight as people leave, you know, because great friendships are made. It feels privileged to do it.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Alisdair. Yeah, thanks for passing on the tradition. Traditional music. Is this your first year at Alisdair's camp?
Us too. Not really. Well, no. We've been to Darol 6 times.
Really? So you guys are seasoned pros at this then, huh? You're almost ready to start instructing in it? No? What do you like most about the camp experience?
Everybody's just friendly and like welcoming.
Yeah?
No matter what your level.
It's just like the whole thing is just amazing.
It's a life-changing experience to some extent?
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
A little bit, yeah.
And so what particular genre are you interested right now in?
So kind of the whole thing really.
The whole thing? The whole
this
package?
and classical also. We do both.
So you're classically trained. How about you?
Well, I just switched over from classical to fiddle like 6 months ago, so.
How was that transition for you?
I mean, it was fun, but it's so different, the two styles. Like,
yeah. So classical, were you reading music constantly? And fiddle, you're...
Just learning it by ear.
Just learning it by ear.
Mostly, yeah.
And how about the rhythm part? That was a whole driving different...
Yeah.
Did you find it a lot of fun?
Yeah, it's fun.
I bet.
All the chopping and stuff, yeah.
Good. Well, thanks for playing, man. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
you're moved back into the area now, or into the area for the first time, right?
Yes, this is the first time I've lived up here, yes.
And of course, Windham Hill fame and all sorts of other things along the way you've done. Yeah. And Bruce, you're teaching now at Berkeley
College of Music, in Boston.
In Boston. So we won't be seeing you moving into the area anytime soon because
Well, I mean, yeah, but I've spent a lot of time out here in this area, and I come back anytime I can. It's a beautiful part of the country, and people like this kind of crazy music that we all play and the community that it breeds. So, yeah, I'll be back.
Excellent. And I really want to thank you for keeping the traditional music, the old-timey Americana music tradition alive and passing that tradition on.
I was really lucky to meet a lot of people who grew up before World War I and had all those old traditions. And now I have all these wonderful young people here in places like Berkeley and on various places where I teach. And, you know, we're all handing them the ball. So here it is. Open the window, jump on through, you know. And they do a good job of it. Alisdair, who played with me this evening, who plays in the Mountain Drifters, is a perfect example.
She was a former student or a student?
She's a student at Berkeley. She was a student of mine, but she's dug deep into the traditions and learned them to the level of respect and using them for her own creative process. It was amazing to see.
But tell me about this, about Berkeley. I don't know anything about Berkeley, a college of music. I suppose you got to be very scholarly about it, but here you come with music that is not even written down. What do they think of that? How does that play?
Berkeley was started by working musicians, jazz musicians who were playing gigs, and that's been the tradition ever since the early 50s when it started. So it's really a hands-on school. It's like a trade school for music. So there's really not that big a step from jazz or functional jazz or pop music or all the different kinds of music that Berkeley's working with, Western classical music included, to the rest of American music, including all the way to tradition.
Darol and I are both lucky enough to teach in a relatively new, 10 years old program called the American Roots Music Program, and it was first kind of conceived by a kind of common hero, a friend of ours named Matt Glazer, who was head of the strings department there for 28 years, but he realized that there was a vacuum in the Berkeley offerings where music of the early 20th century should go. And it's not just old-time music, or bluegrass, but it's early jazz, it's blues, it's ragtime, it's anything that kind of really informed all the pop music that you hear on the radio today, or wherever it is you listen to it, if anybody listens to the radio anymore.
And at this camp, for example, if somebody wants to just dive into what you're doing, old-timey, steeped into it, can they do that at a week of camp? At a week of camp?
Well, Alisdair, his interest goes into a lot of different kinds of music. So you might see old-time music some years. You might see the kind of jazz and bluegrass and crossover kind of music that Darol plays. And you see a whole lot of other stuff. He's had Breton music. He's had
certainly all the Scandinavian
stuff.
People from Spain, all different parts of Spain.
He's had the great Cape Breton fiddler Buddy McMaster back in the day, and just.
And that was right here at this camp in Nevada County, or some of his other various camps?
Well, I'm thinking of the two that I've been involved in. Darol's been at is Valley of the Moon, which is down in Boulder Creek near Santa Cruz, and then this one Sierra here. And of course, Alisdair has a few other camps out there in the
around the world. Excellent. All right, that's Darol Anger and Bruce Molsky, world-class musicians right here in Nevada County. Thanks so much for coming out, guys.
Thank you.
All right, see you here.
All week in the noonday sun, 15 cents when Saturday comes. Going to a dance, to have some fun. Why don't you get away, Lazy John? Lazy John, Lazy John. Why don't you get your day's work all done? You're in the heat and I'm in the sun. Why don't you get away, Lazy John?
And in other breaking news, the restored bathrooms are completed here in Pioneer Park. Looking pretty good.
It's a lot of fun and hanging out with people that you know and friends and getting to sing and have a good time.
Actually, you don't have to be like a singer or trained singer or anything like that, so it's a community event. The fellow that conducts it, puts it on, he drills everybody in the different harmony parts, so it's super friendly, real community friendly. It's not about the quality of your singing, it's just about the participation.
I think I've been to 4 or 5 of these ever since it started last year, and it's really fun. I keep coming back because it's a lot of fun.
What are you guys looking forward to tonight?
I'm really looking forward to singing.
That bottle of corn, come on in, hand me down. That bottle of corn, but hand me down that bottle of corn. Don't get drunk and choose your porn. My sins are taken away, taken away. Take it out. Well, Marge wore 3 links of chain. Well, Marge wore 3 links of chain. Well, Marge wore 3 links of chain. Glory, glory to her name. My sins are taken away, taken away. Hand me down my walking cane. Hand me down my walking cane. Well, hand me down my walking cane. Going away on the midnight train. My sins are taken away, taken away. Oh, Lordy. Marge Whip and Susie Moore. Well, Marge Whip and Susie Moore. Well, Marge Whip and Susie Moore. Everything Joe on a chicken bone. My sins are taken away, taken away. Hand me down my walking cane. Well, hand me down my walking cane. Well, hand me down my walking cane. Go away on midnight train. My sins are taken away, taken away. Gotta come a man across the field. Gotta come a man across the field. Gotta come a man across the field. He's kicking up dust like an automobile. My sins are taken away, taken away. Hand me down my walking cane. Hand me down my walking cane. Well, hand me down my walking cane. Going away in midnight train. My sins are taken away, taken away. Take one out. Hand me down Having down my walking cane, going away on a midnight train. Sins are taken away, taken away. All my sins are taken away, taken away.
Yeah, going boys. Thank you very much.
All right. So what do you got?
James, what do you got?
What's going on? Yeah, I don't know.
He's a jingle.
Oh yeah.
West.
I think kids think vaping is cool. Vaping is the new norm. Vaping is awesome. If you don't vape, you're weird.
Just makes you look like the tough guy, I guess. Breathing like a dragon. Exactly.
Constantly, there's kids in the bathrooms, so it's hard to go and use the bathrooms in class.
When it comes to vaping, most kids just do it because they want something to like feel like they're like everybody else.
Now we're seeing it cross lines where it's, you know, everywhere from athletes to kids in the auto shop, and basically it's getting through all groups now. So.
Vaping is a way for people to get their nicotine fix, essentially. It uses a solution that contains nicotine and other flavorings and other chemicals, and then it heats it up to high temperatures and you inhale it, and that's how you absorb the nicotine into your system.
I don't know what's in any of the vaping products.
I don't think they care about what's in it. I think it's the feeling that they get from it.
I don't think that kids think that vaping is the same as cigarettes. I think they think it's safer.
A lot of people think that e-cigarettes produce a water vapor, and in truth, they actually produce an aerosol. And this aerosol contains a lot of chemicals, including benzene, formaldehyde, cadmium, things that we know cause cancer, birth defects, and other health problems.
The way they package it makes it look cool to kids.
They make the devices in really strategic ways. I mean, there's a product called Juul. It's like a flash drive. And kids love sneaking these things into class and using them and hiding them, and teachers are kind of none the wiser. It's really crazy.
I know some people who have had like a cast from breaking their wrist and they've put a device inside of it.
Or they'll take their Juul and put in the water bottle tip, like the little tip that flips up. They use that.
They produce these products in all kinds of flavors that are really enticing to kids. They have cherry and bubblegum, cereal flavors.
First they start out with juice that is just flavored, and then all of a sudden somebody puts some nicotine juice in there, and then we've even heard that they mix the marijuana liquid with the vape liquid, so you can't really tell what it is.
It oftentimes can lead to dual use, where kids are using both nicotine and marijuana, and we absolutely don't want to see that.
I would say 90% of my friends smoke. It's just, you want to hang out? Cool, where are we smoking?
I think parents should know that it's really easy to get vape or marijuana and that everybody does it.
So many people do it that it's just like the normal now.
I know some of my friends smoke to get away from life. They smoke to not feel pain and resentment with their family. If you're going through something at home or in school, it's so much easier to just let it all go and feel nothing.
Dealing with an addiction is one of the hardest things that I've ever dealt with. My name is Alisdair Markham, and I'm 20. So I first tried vaping because of the flavors, and it was kind of just like moving on with my nicotine habit, finding another way to do it without it like tasting as bad or like being as gross. And it was definitely a lot easier to hide than a pack of cigarettes. So the first time I tried weed was my freshman year too as well. They had vape pen ones too, and so that kind of like incorporated two things that I already did together.
The first signs of Isaiah going down this path of addiction was, first he'd get really agitated, really easy. Then the grades started to slip. And then he was starting to ditch classes. And then once his GPA got to a certain level, he was kicked out of sports, which was really, really damaging to him. And I realized there was a bigger problem, and of course, we discovered he was smoking weed at that time.
Like I played baseball for 9 years, and I was good. Sophomore year was the last year that I played, because I started smoking a lot. My grades started going down. I lost my motivation, and so I didn't want to be in class. I didn't want to be at school.
You know, I just kept thinking, not Isaiah. Isaiah's not going to get caught up in all of this.
And then senior year, I just got really bad. I started smoking all the time. Smoked like every day senior year.
When we realized we had an addiction issue with marijuana, I really was proactive, and I left no stone unturned. Chased down the schools, drug testing him regularly, taking away preferred items, having to call the police when he went into rages.
So at my peak, probably about every 15 minutes, I would get up and I would smoke. I was like out of my mind stone through most of the day, and so I couldn't function. I couldn't do anything. I just sat at home all day. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't have any motivation.
I was the mom of the star pitcher, and then all of a sudden, I saw my child, and I was fearful that he was going to die. No one ever saw it coming. Not my kid.
And I ended up in the hospital actually with pneumonia, which was caused from vaping and smoking weed because all of the fluid and just smoke going into my lungs. I missed years of my little brother and sister's life, and that's A, something I'll never forgive myself for, and B, something I'm gonna have to spend the rest of my life trying to make up.
Now that Isaiah is not smoking marijuana, I feel like I have my son back. I'm seeing his personality again, his motivation, his drive to want to do things in life and have a future. I don't go to bed every night praying he doesn't die.
Many youth don't think marijuana is dangerous for their health. There's really been a drop in the perception of harm. However, the irony is it's actually much riskier today because it has become so potent.
Hippies smoked weed in the 60s, and they were getting high on THC levels of 2 to 3%. But right now, the average marijuana in California, the average has 25% THC.
We're worried about these high levels of THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, because that is the chemical in marijuana that makes a person high.
I think that parents are probably not as familiar with the marijuana products that are available today. The marijuana is so highly potent, and then there's the condensed versions, the oils, the honey oils, and then the edibles, which are extremely potent.
We are seeing young people who are addicted to marijuana, where in the past it wasn't an addictive substance because it was not as strong as it is today.
The brain is not fully developed until the age of 25. So when we're thinking about a teenager, that brain is still very vulnerable to the effects of chemicals.
The health risks are a lot greater for somebody under the age of 25, so the longer they can delay in trying these products, the less risk that they're going to be addicted or have serious problems from using them.
We're seeing kids use marijuana younger and younger. More teens are presenting for issues at the emergency department just from marijuana use. Some of those things are vomiting that can't stop, and even episodes of psychoses.
The danger of children learning how to cope with stress or frustration using chemicals is they develop a chemical coping strategy, and that habit, as it continues into adulthood, becomes extremely hard to break.
Parents can feel overwhelmed when they learn all this information, but there are actually a lot of things that they can do in order to support their teens. One of the most important is to really try to keep the lines of communication open, trying to find ways where they can talk about vaping and using marijuana. Do they have friends who are doing it? What do they think about it? Make sure they're clear on what the health risks are.
You have to have that relationship, at least in some way, from the beginning. Because if suddenly it's like, okay, let's go have a moment, let's go have a conversation, kids are going to be like, what is going on?
It's also really important to have clear family rules around substance use. It doesn't matter what other families are doing. What's important is what you decide in your home is okay and not okay, and what the consequences are. It can be fun to role play together. Maybe you're at a party and somebody's offering you something. How would you handle it? What would you say? If they think some of these things through ahead of time, they're much more likely to make a decision that they feel good about than if they're making decisions in the spur of the moment. Teens today, just across the board, are dealing with a lot of stress, more so than in the past.
And then they're turning to things like vaping and marijuana just as a coping skill. It's easier to tune that out and not deal with it at all. And then those are the students that we see really struggling in the long term.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we introduce positive coping strategies for our youth. I believe that as humans, the more healthy coping strategies we have, it just naturally, weeds out or pushes out the less healthy coping strategies.
It's also really helpful to talk to your sons and daughters about what their long-term goals are. Do they want to go to college? Do they want to play sports? And how making certain choices might get in the way of those goals.
When parents have this situation come up with their child experimenting, going to a place of fear and judgment usually turns the kids off and has them disconnect from us even more.
I think it's really important as the parent to remain calm as much as we can and just really listen to our child.
The goal should be to keep the conversation going, with the objective being, okay, so if you're gonna find yourselves in these situations, how is it that you can be safe?
So when we have our first conversation with a child about that, coming from a place of non-judgment and knowing we're going to listen and ask questions, that's going to be a real good starting place as opposed to coming from fear and anger.
It's a scary situation, so there's a lot of support out there. You can get it immediately. You can walk into any sort of treatment facility and ask for that support, and you shouldn't be afraid to get the help that you need in order to support your student.
And I think it's really important to not underestimate the influence parents have on their teen lives, to work on keeping those lines of communication open, to stay connected, and to see the relationship really as a partnership so that you're working together around issues of vaping and marijuana and not in opposition.